Welcome back to Blue Collar Coder. I'm Jack Herrington, and today we're going to take a quick bite at React Framer Motion and build out this carousel using fan art around KK Slider from Animal Crossing. So let's dig into the code. So here's our KK slider. As you can see, we're using it in mobile mode in Chrome, which means we've gone over the inspector and clicked at the top, and you can see the little mobile indicator right next to elements up there. That's going to tell us that we're in mobile emulation mode, and that allows us to use swipes and things like that. So we're going to allow it to swipe left and swipe right, so you can swipe along and see the different album covers. Okay, let's create a React app for this. So we're going to use MPX for that. MPX create React app. Let's bring up VS Code. We're going to bring in some albums. These are just some ones I grabbed off of Twitter. And now let's start it up. And it looks good. So let's start hacking around here. So we're going to take out most of it. And what we're going to have is we're going to have the app div, and then within that a row div, and that row div is going to have the different albums in it. We have a row of albums. Okay, so with no CSS, we just bring in the cover one. It looks pretty good, just kind of fills up the whole screen. So for the app, we're going to set the width and height to 100 VW and 100 VH. And if you haven't seen those before, V is actually telling you a percentage of the view, whatever the postfix is. So in the case of VW is view width, and VH is view height. So this is just saying that we need 100% of view height and 100% of view width. Hide the overflow, and then get rid of all the padding and margin. And then we're going to use a flexbox to just center that row in that space. And we're going to give ourselves a nice little linear gradient. Can't really see that because it's hidden behind the image at this point. So now let's define the row. It's going to be relative. So all of the images are going to be absolutely positioned within that. And then we're going to have the container for the image have a width of 60% of the view width and 90% of the view height. So 60 VW and 90 VH, and also be overflow hidden. And then the image within that container, we're just going to make width 100% and height 100%. Hey, looking really good. Okay. So let's give ourselves a white background and a border radius. And then absolutely position ourselves. Now, because by default, an absolutely positioned item has a left of 0 and a top of 0 unless you specify otherwise. That's actually why it's justified up in the corner like that, kind of on its corner, but in the middle. Because when you think about it, right, the row is centered, and this is at 0 and has a position relative, and then this is absolutely positioned at 0, 0 within that row. So let's bring in Framer Motion, have some fun with that. So you can see how that works. So all you got to do is you just have to say motion dot and then the element name. So motion dot div. So same as before, no changes. And we're going to set initial values. So we're going to say it starts at an initial value of a scale of 0, meaning that it has no size. And then a rotation of negative 180. And we're going to have it animate to a rotation of 0, meaning it's going to flip around. And a scale of 1, meaning that it's going to kind of pop out like that. All right, yeah, you can kind of see it. It's very quick. So we're going to tell it to do a spring transition. These are different transition types. Okay, looking pretty good there. But we can't really see it, so let's go and change out the position a little bit. So let's change the top to minus 45. Okay, that's looking better. And then set the left to minus, 50? All right, that's pretty good. Minus 30. Now you can kind of start to see that springy thing a little bit. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to track position. Because we're going to have a bunch of these, we're going to say that one of them is the currently selected one. We're going to call that the position. The position of the slider. And we're going to use this equation, position times 60. So each card is like 60 wide, and then minus 30. So everything starts minus 30 back. And that centers everything really nicely. So now let's go and bring in that list of slides as a prop. Pretty cool. And now let's iterate over those slides. So we get a URL and an index. And we're going to key on that index and then use that index also with position. So that's just going to move us along, right? So index 0 is going to give us 0 minus 0, starting at 0, times 60 minus 30. And then it's going to be 1 minus 0 and 2 minus 0 times 60 minus 30. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Now we get all the albums from side to side. Cool. So now let's scale it based on that. So we're going to say at the position, it's going to be a scale of 1, and otherwise it's going to be a scale of 0.8. So it's going to give you that kind of highlighted look. Like the one in the middle is going to be really big. The one on the sides are going to be smaller. Okay. So now we just need to go and give ourselves some interactivity because it looks good. So let's create 2 little buttons. I'm going to switch out on mobile mode here because it's a little easier to work with. And now we're going to create on right and on left. And on right is going to just go and move us along the line. So add 1 position. And on left is going to remove 1 from position. And we'll do a little boundaries check just to make sure that we don't go off the edge. I don't think it would be bad if you did. You just wouldn't see any albums, which would be nice. Let's set up our on-click handlers. Hey, looking really good. Okay. So now what we want to do is we really want that to be swipeable. So let's go and add React swipeable. Cute little library. Start that up. And now we no longer need those guys because we're going to go and use swipeable for that. So let's bring in swipeable. And that's just a tag you wrap something in. So I'm going to just wrap the whole app in that. It still takes a class name, so that's good. And it gives you an event handler on swiped. So handle swipe. And then swipe gives you an event, and then within that event there's dir, and that's the direction. Direction can either be left or right. So when I say if you do right, then do a right hand logic, meaning we'll add 1. And if it's left, then subtract 1. I'll be honest, I haven't actually tried this on a mobile app. I just tried it out in the emulator. So if that's not right, then just flip it. Doesn't really matter. And there you go, the KK slider. Enjoy. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, I had some fun making this one. React Framework Motion is actually a really cool, easy to use framework. And makes these kind of little projects a joy. So if you like this video, please hit that like button. If you really like the video, be sure to hit that subscribe button, click on that bell, and you'll be notified anytime that a new video like this comes out. In the meantime, be happy, be healthy, and be safe.